Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Giants fans, NFL football fans, people that bet on the draft and don't even know football fans, welcome back to another episode of Bet the Over. I'm your host, Kev Bo. I support the New York Giants, unfortunately, but they can really turn their their I guess franchise around with the John Harbaugh era. This draft is extremely important because, as we all know, the Giants did indeed pick up an extra first round pick. Thank you, Cincinnati Bengals. We didn't fleece you. I just think we got the better end of the deal. But in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down what I think the draft is going to go, like how the draft night's going to go down, and I'm going to specifically stop on picks 5 and 10, just breaking down kind of the thought process behind the Giants. I think I have a general idea of what they want to do. However, who really knows? I mean, did anyone expect the Atlanta Falcons to draft Michael Penix 2 years ago? If you said you did, you're lying because no one did. That was a absolute crazy draft pick. And this is the smoke and mirror season. I mean, nobody knows who's telling the truth. Nobody knows who's lying. You can have Adam Schefter saying one thing. You can have another GM saying a different thing. You can have Peter Schrager in there somewhere. Um, and you could have all these players, all these GMs, all these sports writers kind of giving their 2 cents on it. But I do think I have a good idea of what the Giants kind of want to do in this upcoming draft. So without further ado, I'm going to go into a mock draft simulator and kind of break down what I think the Giants are going to do. I'm also going to disappear off the screen because for some reason, StreamYard, I freeze whenever I screen record. So let's get right into it. All right. So, as we said, I'm going to get into the top 10 picks of the draft, mainly because the Giants do have two top 10 picks. And I'm kind of going to go through their thought process, what I think the Giants would be thinking if they were on the clock at that given moment. So, get right into it. Number one overall pick. This is a lock. The draft really starts at pick number 2. You got Mendoza, Heisman winner, brought Indiana to a national championship after them not really going anywhere for the past 70 years or however long their organization has been established. That's kind of a lock. Everybody knows it's going to happen. So this is where the draft actually does start for the New York Jets. Shout out to my Jets fans. I'm sorry for you guys. So this whole offseason, it was kind of expected for them to go Arvell Reese. But in recent weeks, it has actually changed where I think the new favorite to go to the Jets is actually David Bailey. He has great pass rush ability. He has tremendous upside. He's more of the finesse guy, whereas Ruben Baines, another top 15, top 10 player, is the power guy with the shorter arms. But David Bailey has more upside. I do think Arvell Reese has more athleticism to him right now, but the true pass rush ability, I think David Bailey's the pick there. And the Jets can kind of go any direction. They're not very talented anywhere. So I think David Bailey's a good overall pick. Pick 3 is the Arizona Cardinals. Now, they have a pretty interesting spot right here. I know it's rumored that they do want to trade out of this pick. I've heard that the Cowboys want to come up to pick 3 and potentially take Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese. I don't think that deal is going to get done just because the Cowboys don't have a second round pick. They do have 2 firsts, but they would probably trade away all the mid to late rounds in this draft in order to move up. And I just don't think Jerry Jones is going to end up doing that. So with this pick, a lot of people are rumoring Jeremiah Love there. That doesn't make too much sense to me. I mean, they just signed Tyler Algier, who's a solid running backup for Bijan in Atlanta, but he's coming over to Arizona. They have James Conner, who was injured last year. So they do have a lot of running backs. So I don't understand why it's speculated he's going to go there, but we've definitely seen crazier things. I think in this draft, I'm going to do what I would do if I was the Arizona Cardinals. I think I would probably just go Arvell Reese here, get the most upside linebacker slash off ball linebacker. He can kind of do it all well. He's super athletic and he has the potential to be a true like freak of nature out on the field where he can kind of roam around. He reminds me kind of Isaiah Simmons. I know that's going to bring flashbacks back to the Arizona Cardinals. Sonny Styles is the same way, but Arvell Reese is a true freak of nature. He lit up the combine, and I do think that would be a great pick for Arizona as they continue to build. They kind of need a lot of stuff, so just go with the highest upside potential player right there. Next, pick 4, we got Tennessee Titans. I always go back and forth with this pick between Sonny Styles or even Ruben Baines, maybe, because their head coach, Robert Saleh, is a defensive minded guy. As you probably know, he was on the 49ers as a defensive coordinator last year and years prior. And when he was on the Jets, he built their whole franchise or organization around their defense. They had one of the best defenses in the league under him. So I could see a defensive player coming off the board there. But I think in this scenario, you just take Jeremiah Love, help out Cam Ward. He'll help the entire offense be more efficient. Their defense was okay last year. It was like middle of the pack or slightly below average. So you can address that kind of further down the draft. I do think Jeremiah Love's the best player in this draft. He helps out your young rookie quarterback as you continue to build around him. And he's a very good receiving back as well. So he can help out in the passing game also. Next, pick 5, we do got the New York Giants. So I'll go into their picks, who I think they would take in this situation, but I want to go up a little bit. So it's rumored that if Jeremiah Love's there at 5, I think the Giants are going to take him. That's just a Harbaugh guy. He wants to build a strong rushing attack for the team. You think about his years in Baltimore. He had Derrick Henry and Lamar. They led the league in rushing for multiple years. I also do have heard rumors that Arvell Reese, if he's there at 5, they're going to lock that pick in, even though they don't necessarily need a pass rusher. They have Brian Burns and Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau. But Arvell Reese, like I said, can kind of play off ball as well. He's very versatile, so that could be a great pick as well. Sonny Styles was rumored to go to the Giants for a very long time, but it does look like that they're no longer interested in him, according to I think it was someone on the Rich Eisen show. He said it's not looking like Sonny Styles is going to go there. However, it is smoke and mirror seasons. They could just be saying that, hoping that the Cowboys don't end up jumping them at 3 and taking Sonny Styles. So don't be shocked about that. But I think in this situation, I do think the Giants would go Caleb Downs. I think they do like Downs better than Sonny Styles. He's the second best player in this draft. I think he's the best defensive player. He's a great tackler, can help in the run game, great in coverage, a true football player, can do everything well. May not have the athletic upside of a Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese, but he's just a great player, and he could be that Kyle Hamilton fill-in for John Harbaugh, which he had playing at an elite level over there in Baltimore. So I would be happy with Caleb Downs. I know some people wouldn't like it. They don't like safeties in the top 10, but this draft is kind of all the top guys are not necessarily premier positions. I mean, get rid of Mendoza, obviously, but edge rushers are good, but the Giants don't necessarily need one. So that's not really, I don't think, what they would be looking for, but they could go that route. I wouldn't be surprised. You can never have enough good pass rushers, but most of the top prospects are a running back, a safety, and an off-ball linebacker in Sonny Styles or even Arvell Reese. He's more of the pass rusher, but he can also play off-ball. So the top guys aren't really what you're used to in the drafts. When you think of drafts prior, you think of quarterbacks, you think of wide receivers, you think of corners, you think of pass rushers. This draft is kind of, even tackles are up there as well. This draft is slightly different in that in this year. So next we got Cleveland Browns. Now, the Browns can go a couple different ways. I do think the highest odds are a wide receiver. And if that is the case, I do think Carnell Tate makes the most sense. He's probably the safest pick out of all the wide receivers, has the highest floor, good second wide receiver to Jerry Jeudy, for either Shador or Deshaun Watson, whoever's starting next year. Plus, he's from Ohio State. Keep him in Ohio. I think Browns fans would be pretty happy with that because they're probably also Ohio State's fans, so they watched him play throughout the years. Next, we got Washington. This is kind of a tough pick here. Washington can go a couple different ways. I think wide receiver would definitely be one area where I think they could address. I mean, they literally only have Terry McLaurin, and their other wide receivers are not very good. If Jeremiah Love is here, I think they would definitely go that route. They definitely need help in that department. But I think if this is how the board would fall, I do think they would just go Sonny Styles. They need an upgrade at linebacker. They lost Bobby Wagner. He was like their best player. So you need a replacement for him. Sonny Styles, athletic freak, ton of upside, could really help them develop and build around their team and maybe address some offense or wide receiver in the second round. This is a pretty deep wide receiver class, so you can find a good wide receiver a little bit later in the draft. Next, we got New Orleans Saints. I do think they'll either go Ruben Bain or Mesor Delane, the corner out of LSU. You can go either way. I wouldn't be shocked with either one. I think in this scenario, they would probably just go Ruben Baines. I think he's more impactful than Delane would be. He's a great pass rusher. A lot of people are concerned about him because he has short arms, which I do get. But in college, he was truly dominant. And I think the tape kind of speaks for itself in that sense. I get the arms situation, but when a guy dominates in college the way Ruben Baines did for Miami, you expect it to translate somewhat into the NFL. Next, we got Kansas City Chiefs. So this is also an interesting pick. They're supposedly very high on Tyson out of Arizona State. So I could see them going that route, but I do think in this scenario they would go Mesor Delane. They just lost two of their corners to the Rams. They definitely need secondary help pretty badly. And I think their wide receiver weapons are good enough. I mean, they have Rashid Rice, they have Xavier Worthy, Kelsey's back for another year. Another sneaky pick that I feel like nobody's really mocking to them is Kenyon Sadiq. I get they have Kelsey next year, but you can't expect him to play for more than 2 more years, I'd say. And Sadiq is the best tight end in this draft class, could definitely help out Mahomes in the future. I think that's kind of, I don't think they would go any other way. Maybe if Baines was on the board, they would probably take him. I think the Saints and the Chiefs typically could flip-flop either one of their picks between Baines and Delane, but that's what I think they would do. Next, we got the Giants again at pick 10. Another scenario I haven't really explored is them trading down. I mean, I don't think they would do it necessarily. I don't know who would trade up with them. I think if David Bailey dropped to pick 5, they might have a market to trade down. I would love if they traded with like the Saints because you could secure either Mesor Delane, Francis Mauigoa, or even maybe like Caleb Downs or something later in that round. So I don't mind the trade down. However, I don't think that would happen because I don't think many people would want to move up. And a lot of the people that would want to move up are the division rivals. I could see Washington trying to move up, and the Cowboys are a big one from 12, but I don't think the Giants would trade up with them. Even though they did a couple of years ago with Philadelphia, I don't think that would happen. But if the Giants get to this situation and the draft pans out like this, I think Maui Noah would be a very good pick just because Jermaine Illuminor was re-signed for, I think, 2 or 3 years. So he has your starting tackle, but you would swing Maui Noah into the right guard position. Right now, they have Falele and Evan Neal. Definitely can use an upgrade in that offensive line right guard spot. Also, left guard isn't necessarily the best. And John Michael Schmitz, we're kind of all on the fence about as well. But I don't think they're going to go Maui Noah in this situation. A trade down would be very good, I think, right here. If they could maybe pick up another 3rd-round pick because they are missing him. But I do think the Tyson hype train is true about the New York Giants. There was 2 GMs that flew out to see him during his pro day. I don't know who the other one was, but one of them was Joe Sheen. He met with him the night before the workout and brought him out to dinner. They definitely got in a nice conversation. It seems like they're highly interested, and he definitely has the most upside out of any wide receiver in this class. It's just the injury concerns. He tore his ACL 3 years ago. He broke his collarbone 2 years ago. And this past year, he's coming off a major hamstring, or not major, but a hamstring injury that sidelined him. Even for the combine, he couldn't even work out. And he was last month, he was even not working out as well. So extensive injury history. He's the highest risk, high risk reward type player in this draft, in my opinion. If he hits and he's healthy for the next 2, 3 years, you look like an absolute genius with a steal. If he gets hurt in his first season, everyone's going to be like, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. That's why you avoid him, yada, yada, yada. I wouldn't mind this pick. It is very risky. I think the less risk and maybe long term better option for the Giants would be Maui Noah because, like I said, he can play any position on the offensive line. He can play center, right guard, or right tackle. I would put him at guard for 2 years. And then once Jermaine Illuminor either leaves or retires and you don't re-sign him, you swing him out to tackle, and your right guard and right tackle position are covered for the next 2, 3 years. But I also see the need to help out Jackson Dart in the wide receiver game. You have Malik Neighbors, who's coming off a major injury. You just lost your second best wide receiver in Wandale Robinson. You did get Isaiah Likely, so that is an upgrade in that area. But Tyson would definitely help out the receivers and even the run game because they can't really stack the box if you have to leave Tyson or Malik one on one in the outside or on the outside. So let me know what you guys think. That's my top 10 picks. I think that are going to happen on draft night. It's going to be exciting to see what goes down because, like I said, we truly don't know what teams think of these players. You can have the Jets saying they're going to go David Bailey. That's a very popular mock, and they could just flip flop it and go Arvell Reese. And then I think the whole rest of the draft is going to scramble. The Giants pick 5 is really just based upon what happens above them. If Jeremiah Love gets to them at 5, I do think they're going to take Jeremiah Love, even if Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs are on the board. I think Caleb Downs is their second option if in that scenario. If what's his name, the running back Jeremiah Love is off the board, and then I think their third option would be Sonny Styles if you drop down to there. Trading out is definitely an option. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would definitely help them with a couple extra draft picks that they could build up their team because they do have a decent amount of holes on this roster. So let me know down below what you guys think of this mock draft. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think the Giants should trade out? You think they should stick and pick? And what's your ideal draft scenario? Me personally, I think best case scenario, if they get Sonny Styles at 5 and then they get to 10 and Caleb Downs is still there, that would be the best case scenario. I know their offense would have to really get worked on either through free agency or later in the draft, but you would have a young, talented defense with a bunch of stars on every single level. You got defensive line, great pass rushers, need to fill the defensive tackle spot. Second level, you got Tremaine Edmonds, Micah McFadden, and then you would have Sonny Styles. And then on the back end, you have Javon Holland and also Caleb Downs. And then your corners would be Paulson Adebo, Greg Newsome, Drew Phillips in the slot, along with Deontay Banks, who shouldn't play but is a good kick returner. That would be an absolute elite defense. So let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. And remember, bet the over.